Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So thank you for joining us this week. For today, inshallah, we will be going through this question, how to fill the void within. This was a question of, well, it was not actually a question, but it came out to be the problem. We were having a conversation with a student, and inshallah, he will come today. The issue was, like, this is a computer science student, and comes to my office and says, well, I haven't been doing web development for the past 2 or 3 years. I thought this was my thing, but then I realized that it's not working. So can I do research with you for the summer? I said, okay, let's try to see what's going on here. So we had a conversation for 20 or so minutes, and I said, well, why would you like to do research? Because research is a long commitment and you're graduating this summer. So actually it's not practical to make a research for 3 months. So if you would like to do research, you should really be jumping into it for 1 year ahead of time. And the quickest you will get an output is going to be 1 year in the best case. And also making research makes sense if you are planning to have a like postgraduate degree at some point. If you're planning to jump into industry, it's a waste of time for you. Why would you like to be interested in research? And we said, well, how about rather than research, do something about machine learning? Because for computer science, this is where nowadays the money is. So maybe this is better for you. And of course, if you do that, you'll need to do this project, that project, and whatnot. But then as the conversation unfolds, what we realized is it's more like the problem was dissatisfaction. Like the student thought that web development is going to be something that satisfies him. But after learning it and doing the same thing for quite some time, he realized that, well, this is not what I'm looking for. Then I suggested him something new, go with machine learning. But then, as now the conversation was ripe, I said, do you think machine learning is going to satisfy you either? Like, what is it that you're trying to find satisfaction in? And would it provide you with the satisfaction that you're looking for? So at this moment, we started realizing, Assalamu alaikum. At this point, we realized, and here is my man, maybe we have something more. Maybe it's more than web development or machine learning or whatever. There is more of a void in there. So with that, I would like to start the conversation. This was my example. But here I just put some questions as a placeholder to start the conversation, and I would like to listen from you. Do you or anyone around you feel empty or void within from inside? When I say that, does it resonate with you? Like this void or emptiness, do you feel this? Sometimes, always, never, whatever. And what does it feel like? And let's make it more practical, because the more we hear about the examples, maybe even if right now it sounds, no, I'm perfectly comfortable in life, if somebody else gives their examples, maybe you will realize that somewhat of a void is there within your life too, so that it can become more relatable. And of course, then comes the question, how do people try to cope with it? What can fill that void? And finally, why do we feel this way in the first place? So these are some quick questions that come to my mind. But if you would like to add any other question, I can put it here. Any interesting question when the topic is void, anything comes to your mind? Otherwise, we can go through the questions, or I can go around the room asking to you. Anything?
say maybe it's just like a natural feeling, like how you get hungry, how you get tired. It's just like a feeling that just comes in.
Okay, a natural feeling. Very good, very good. So we'll talk about that, inshallah. Okay, let's start. Since ladies were not around for some time before they leave, let's start from here. Because now I'm scared that they will leave early. So, okay, what do you think? Or shall we start from the boys so that they expose their voids? Okay, let's go with the boys. What do you think, boys? Let's give some examples. Oh, no void. Do you feel any sort of void in your life? Or you're perfectly fine, you don't know what the void is, you're super satisfied.
Do I have to answer this?
Okay, you don't have to,
It's a
no.
bit of a personal question, you know.
Yeah,
Or pass?
okay, pass. Yeah,
Chill. Chill. Pass.
alhamdulillah, you have everything, no void. Okay. Any void there? No? Your home country. Okay, this is the void that if your family was here or your home country was here, so or you were there, I guess that is the thing. Okay. Okay, missing the country. What do you think, Kadir?
Lot of words,
A lot of,
a lot of emptiness, like you feel
okay, for example,
in terms of you want to be heard,
you want to be heard.
you want to be appreciated for the things that you do, and like you want people to see for who you are and not like how they would judge you around yourself. And as like I have personal experience in this, and like I've also heard from people from their experiences how they define things as like a lot of people in this life are like lonely. They just want someone that is there just to hear what they have, like what they're going through, what they're experiencing.
Mhm.
Like no one even has that one person. I think that is the biggest.
No, so is this the last one you said is more about having another person who is going to see you, like you the way you would like them to like you? Okay. Somebody without judging, they would just say, oh, you're the best, you're the
Yeah, someone
greatest.
would
Okay.
just say like, okay, all of these experiences that this person has had, this makes them who they are.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Fahid, what do you think?
I would say maybe a bit like directionless, like in the sense where it's like I feel like there's definitely a lot of things I'd want to do, but not sure what to like stick to because there's so many options.
Hmm. Yeah, you have so many options. And you feel directionless because you're not able to distinguish one from the other.
I guess you're not really sure what to exactly do, or like, yeah.
Mhm. Because you would like to make a choice, but they look all the same. And if you go with this route in life, that route in life, like if you have some sort of a way to identify it, you would definitely choose it, right? Like in front of a child, if you put a candy versus spinach, easy choice, right? Just go with the candy because it sounds more attractive. But in life, one might come to a point where you are so indifferent. Actually, I was feeling like that when I was about to graduate from college. The reason was in our education system, like the life education is so much streamlined. You go to primary school, secondary school, high school, take university entrance exam, go to university. You just follow the herd. You go with the rest of the people, right? But once I come to the end of the college, I literally felt like I will die that summer because I said the road finished. Like there was a road and now there's no more road. Which way shall I go? And I thought, well, this is a sign that I'm going to die this summer. Well, I didn't die that summer, as you see. But this was exactly what I was feeling too. Which way do I go? Because so far somebody else has written a path for me and I was following this path without questioning. Now that I am at the end of it, supposedly I should have achieved something and should be content and happy and whatnot. Road ended, nothing at my hand. Like I have a degree, but in terms of like my imagination, if I were to achieve this, that would be the joyous moment of my life. It didn't happen. So that was sort of this, I was in this vacuum at this moment, like meaninglessness. None of the expectations are met at this moment. Yet I was hoping to live more. For what? Because I don't have a way to choose one over the other. Yes.
Experienced it for sure. And I feel like I've seen it a lot. And for me, it's a feeling of meaninglessness, like you said, and also a feeling of unfulfillment. And I feel like it's just like when you feel hollow inside.
Okay.
And I feel like I feel it most when I feel like things around me are very fake or very manufactured.
Mhm.
And I think it also happens when, like, I'm in a very meaningless conversation with people. Like they're talking about things that don't matter at all. Like like if you're in a group setting and people are just discussing for like 20 minutes, like, oh, is water wet? Like, do fish, like, are they breathing? Like that, it just seems so stupid to me. And I feel like, like it's like everything is just very fake and meaningless. And yeah, I just don't like after those hangouts, after hanging out with those people when I'm having like fake conversations. And it's not even like those conversations, it's even like conversations like, oh, how are you? When I know the other person doesn't really care how I am, but it's like you're still talking like, oh, how are you doing in your degree? I don't care how you're doing in your degree, man. Like, I want to get out of here. I want to go home. And after those conversations, when I go home, I do feel kind of like empty, like I wasted my time. Like that was so meaningful, that was so fake.
Yet it sounded cool, or at least it appeared cool in that environment, but deep inside, you know that it was a meaningless show.
Interaction.
Yeah, meaningless show that is being played among people, but deep inside there's this cry saying that what is the point? Yes.
I think I experienced it a lot more approaching graduation
Mhm.
because I still have no idea where I'm going to law school. Even though I've been like accepted places, like I still have no idea where it's most likely going to be Drexel, but I'm not 100% sure.
Good.
And then when I went to DC, I was in DC all last week for a final. We had to it was like Model UN, but like for Model Organization of American States, which is for South, North, and Central America. And I kind of didn't want to leave DC because I like debating people there.
Okay.
So I think I should have considered my options in DC a little bit more.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Yes. Any void there?
I don't know, I kind of agree with hometown, like home country. Definitely. Seeing like what's going on makes me feel like
Mm.
I want to do more, but like I can't, so
And your home country is Palestine?
yeah.
Okay. Feeling sorry about your home country, right? So that's another thing. My home country is Turkey, and I'm not feeling sorry. Well, like that's the interesting part. If you were to have it, how would you feel is another question. Now that you do not have it, you are feeling longing for it, right? And I do understand that. You can maybe liken it to somebody who lost their mom and longing for mom. And another person who has mom but is in trouble with mom too. Like the relationship is there, but the relationship is yet void. It really, in different circumstances, the creator is giving us a different opportunity to feel the same thing using different means. For some, it is the lack of, or for some other, it is the presence of that very same thing. But still, like if the cause was lack of the state or my home country, then for the other person, that person has the country, yet the void is there. If it was, oh, I am missing my mom, there's this void, the other person has mom in there, yet has the void. Or some person says, oh, I need to find this significant other in my life. This is where the void is. This person is married and fed up with it. The void is still there. So it looks like void is always there, but it's just changing the shape. What do you think?
I feel like for me, that like feeling of like emptiness, I guess, comes from when like things become like too repetitive in my life, and I feel like I'm just like going through the motion, or like
Mm.
things that used to give me satisfaction don't anymore.
Mhm.
So it just, I don't know, sometimes it just feels like you're doing things to do them because you know that that's the way that it's supposed to be. But
I see. Actually, this is a good point. So, because it used to satisfy you at some point, but it's not satisfying anymore. This might give us some hints about how to solve it too. Because would repeating the same thing work, or would increasing the amount work? Or is it that the thing itself is not scaling up anyways? So is the answer the thing itself or something else? Because it sounds me like how they talk about the drugs, the heroin and whatnot. So when they put it the first time, ooh, it's so nice. And then second time, third time, then you get numb with it. So you have to increase the dose. But eventually, no matter how much you increase the dose, you're coming to the edge of killing yourself, yet you're not feeling that which was entertaining you at some point, and now you are in this void. This is a very chemical version of it, but pretty much you can take it for doing a very successful, let's say, assignment and getting a good number, and you're proud of yourself. Oh, I got 100, another 100, another 100. Then even getting 100 becomes so mundane, and even people praising you becomes so mundane. If everybody were to clap you, how useful that would be. After some point, even being praised is not making you happy. So these are nice, interesting points. And from gentlemen who passed, any idea, or still you would like to pass? Okay, good. Let's see. From online, we have a comment. Another sister, mashallah, says, Zarin says, for me, it feels like being an autopilot and just trying to get through the day. It usually stems from feeling inadequate in some regard, not being able to appreciate the world around me, even though I know there are many reasons to. Jazakallah khair, Sister Zarin. So this is another example for how people feel the void. And Dua was sharing something in WhatsApp. Dua, would you like to read that? It was a good example, actually. So if you still have it there.
Actually, I found quite a few examples of like people talking about emptiness. And I knew I would because I know a lot of people experience this feeling. But the picture said, to me, the worst feeling in the world isn't loneliness, it's emptiness. It's being surrounded by so much life and yet feeling so little. The world isn't crashing down, it isn't raining outside. Nobody is breaking my heart. I'm not sad, but I'm not happy either. I'm neutral. There's a void inside of me that I can't seem to fill. At this point, I think I'd rather be lonely, at least then I'd feel something.
So this really makes a good picture because it also distinguishes it from loneliness too. So it's just saying that I don't feel anything, but this is what that person wants to feel something, but there's this void. Yeah.
Actually, this reminds me of when I used to go to school and some women who were troubled at homes or like in their life somehow, they used to self-harm. And it seems so strange, like to get out of your trouble, you're hurting yourself more. But that's the idea there that, you know, like you feel so numb that you need to feel something, even if it's pain. You just want to escape the feeling of nothingness.
Good. So let's see how people cope with it. What do you think? Or any suggestion you have for that? This is real. It looks like people go through that. Actually, maybe even more so than we think we go through that. But it takes time to admit it, I would say. But how to cope with it? What is a solution, if not the solution?
Drugs are
Drugs are a way to cope with that.
yeah, like I guess it I guess they make you feel like you're in a different, you have a different sensation, or you're in a different body. Like I'm thinking of the drug called ecstasy,
Okay,
so I'm guessing that's a solution.
getting a drug. But drug, again, as we keep repeating it, either we will need to increase the dose and die from overdose, because the same thing happens with drug too. I mean, I've never used those drugs. I'm just relying on somebody else's report. But I can relate to, based on the types of drugs that I used, which is my drug had been, for example, making my mom happy so that she praises me, just to hear or just to see the this glitter in her eyes. Oh, I am proud of my son. This was my drug. But it happens that there's a price for that. Like I was doing it just to be praised. After some point, the same praise is not going to work well for you. You would like to increase the dose, but there's a price you have to pay for that too. It will never work. It is bound to fall apart at some point, which it did. Same thing would apply with using other types of drugs too, or being successful at workplace is another type of drug. You would like to be more and more successful, earn more and more. Eventually, either you become like this beast who is trying to buy all other companies and whatnot, so you lose your humanity, and now you're not even getting that much joy that you used to take with your startup back in those small days. Now you would like to buy huge companies and whatnot. You just become an animal who wants to devour the whole. So it's always there. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think for me, food is a drug these days. Like I feel like, and it's not even because, you know, like I'm hungry, but I get this craving and it's like I can't be bored or stay still. It's like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? Like, okay, popcorn and then chocolate and then like again, like I just can't stop eating. And it's not even because I'm hungry. It's just that I'm bored and that's how I want to like fill my time. I can't sit with my boredom.
Who has TikTok on their phone? TikTok? No? Instagram? How about Instagram? Okay, we have Instagram. How about Twitter? Well, X. Okay, everybody has something. Twitter, Instagram. And you keep scrolling, or what do they say? Swiping. Scrolling. So what is the notion in there? You just want to scroll, see something that's going to give you this very temporary 2-3 seconds of sensation. Keep scrolling. Once you start scrolling, how long does it take for you to stop yourself? 10-15 minutes, 20 minutes? Low ball estimates. Okay. So what is the feeling? What makes you keep scroll? And at the end of this 20-30 minutes, how do you feel? What is left? Because this was a drug you kept putting. At the end of 20 minutes, 30 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, what is left to you? Other than this realization of your void as well. You were trying to fill up this void with this momentary sensations, but half an hour, 1 hour has passed and nothing is left behind, other than your realization of your void. That drug didn't help either. But it's very smart, actually, the way that they invented this Instagram, Twitter, and it's all the same. It's working on the same thing. Advertising itself to fill that void, and the very widespread use is actually showing that how large of a void humans have, and also it's not working. Another thing that every user can experience, by experience, say that, well, yes, I keep scrolling and still nothing is filled in there. Okay, what can fill that void? Definitely not drugs. Any type of drugs is not filling that either. And this is what we are here for. We will try to find an answer for how to fill that void. And finally, we have, why do we feel this way? Fahid said it's natural. Any idea? Why do we feel this way? Yes.
Actually disagree. I don't know why. I mean, I have to why, but I disagree with it being natural because I think when I was going through the pictures on Google, one of them was like from a psychology page, and it was like, oh, like how do we deal with it? And they were talking about how it's so natural and whatnot. And I think generally we start to call things natural when we see them so much, and when we see them on a large scale, like when everyone is going through something. It can be easy to be like, it can be natural to be like, oh, it's natural. Everyone goes through this, but not necessarily. It could also mean that we're all doing something wrong, which is why we all are feeling that way. So I don't think it's natural at all.
Okay. So I guess natural in the sense of, yes, we see it a lot. Are we meant to feel it? I mean, Fahed's example was good. He said, we are feeling hungry. Like, am I meant to feel hungry? As a human being, apparently, yes, I am meant to be hungry. And actually, this is how we start life. You're first born, and the first thing you say is like by crying, but what your mom immediately understands what this cry is for. Give me food. So feeling hungry was necessary for this child. But the point was, yeah, there was a void, literally a void, which is stomach in this case. But there was something that will feel it properly. And also another thing which will feel it improperly. I mean, you can feel the same stomach with junk food, or feel the same stomach with like nutritious food, which will then strengthen your being. So how about this void that human feels inside? Definitely Instagram is getting in there, but not filling up this void. And it's not being useful for human existence either. So how do I fill this void in a meaningful way? Because it's meant to be void so that something will get in there. It's an invitation. Like your hunger is an invitation for you to go and eat the food. Because somebody wants you to taste the food, realize that somebody who cares about you prepared the food for you, and you get fed with it and appreciate the provider of the food. So there's a purpose of, like, it could have been, human could have been engineered in which you don't have a stomach and you don't need to get food. But you're meant to. Like, the one who designed you created you with this empty stomach. Same way, you are designed with a void in your, let's call it, heart now. The question then becomes, how do I fill it up properly? Because it looks like it is there for a purpose. And if I fill it up in the wrong way, I am living by the consequences.
I think I'm also thinking like now, it's not like we wait to get hungry and then we fill up our stomach. That hunger, helps us recognize what our body needs, that our body, needs nutrition, it needs food. So we have these, set times in the day where we fill our stomachs. But, say you're working like a very long day and you're negligent towards your body. You will get hungry and it hurts. And I think that hurt is a correction mechanism. It reminds you that, hey, like, this is not right. You didn't do the right thing. You're supposed to take care of yourself. You're supposed to take care of your body. And I think this emptiness, this void is also works in the same way. Like, it's sort of a reminder that you abused yourself. Feeling like I just did a meaningless activity points towards the fact that there is me. And I could fill my time doing something meaningful, but I'm not finding, or I'm not trying to find what that is. I'm not there, and I need to do that. So that's what.
Yeah. This reminds me of a childhood memory. So there was some sort of a volunteering event where people sell small stuff for a good cause, right? And I was probably first year or so, primary school. We went there. I saw some sort of a handkerchief with strawberry prints on it. I remember crying a lot for my mom to buy it, and my mom didn't buy it. So much so that the next day she went and bought it. But once she bought it, I was so numb. I don't know why I cried for. I didn't get any satisfaction by having this handkerchief. So probably this might be one of the earlier voids that I experienced, and you would experience. So I kept experiencing the same thing with apparently all achievements that I had. You graduate, you thought that once you graduate to school, you get your degree, you're going to feel a little full, a little more. You have the degree, nothing is there. There was an expectation. The expectation was keeping you alive, but once you reach there and you realize it's not satisfying you, after some point, which gets somewhere around age 30, I would say, as it keeps repeating, then you start getting upset, saying that it looks like I am just chasing a carrot in the tip of a stick. There is satisfaction. How am I going to feel this void? If I tortured you enough with the questions, so let's try to get to some answer from Quran. There's a comment? Go ahead.
I think this whole like idea of the void is just like sometimes people just have too much time, but they just give themselves a reason to get upset.
Okay.
And I think like this empty feeling is just like a sign of low iman. So like if people like spend more time picking up the Quran more, like people who frequently pick up and recite the Quran and make it a daily habit are less likely to fall into this. So I think it's just a sign that people are like have weak iman and aren't remembering like the qadr of Allah, and they should be more like conscious in their lives.
That is right in principle. But what does it mean is the important part. So I felt another type of void at a point of my life when I was reading 40 pages of Quran a day. And this was happening when 40 pages of recitation, not understanding the meaning, but recitation. I was reading 40 pages per day. And this was the year I am preparing for the university entrance exam. So I'm already super busy with preparing for this exam. I was sleeping 6 hours and the rest full study. And then I realized that where am I going? What is the point? So in principle, I was busying myself a lot with work and also with Quran too. But it might not work if I do not know what am I up to either. Like by itself, recitation, it was feeling good up to a certain point. But the same thing happened with what was mentioned with repetition. I said, because I was sweeping many things under the carpet back then, one of my friends just made me face my reality. I was fake in my busying myself with religion too. It was hard to swallow for me, but what does it mean that God is going to fill that void? Quran is going to fill that void. How come? This is the part that we should focus on. And inshallah, for that, for the remaining 30 minutes, I will start from the end and take you there too. There's a there's a verse which I put at the very beginning. Ala bi dhikrillahi tatma'innul qulub. Probably you heard about this verse. This is from Surah Ar-Ra'd, a piece of verse number 28. And it says, is there anything other than remembrance of God that's going to make your heart satisfied? Seems like this is the remedy, at least the way the sentence is formed. Remember the Creator and you're going to get satisfaction. Well, how do I do that? Like, remember the Creator. So is it like I should put some, like in Arabic letters, write Allah in my hand, and whenever I feel void, I just look at it, no, it's good. Like, is this how it's going to happen? Or what does it practically mean, really? That the remembrance of the Creator is going to fill the void in me. Who is the Creator? Who is the Creator? Like, think of it this way. If you are struggling financially and somehow you get lost with the financial problems and whatnot, and then Tim comes and says, why are you worried? Your father is multi-billionaire, and here is your bank account number. Oh, sorry, I totally forgot it. Because if I were aware of that, I wouldn't be worried about financial issues. For somehow I got lost for a moment, and I said, how am I going to deal with that? So remember, your father in this case is not simply a word. It is saying that your father is not any father. He is a super billionaire and whatnot, and you have this much money. So that reminder is more than remember your father. That is a reminder for a father who is financially very capable and is supportive of you. Therefore, you shouldn't be worried about financial problems. That's what it means. When we say remember God, what do we mean? Who is God? Is the question. If God is simply a word for me, or God is, like he is the creator of everything, like the super umbrella term for what God means. But like if Tim was saying that, oh your super, long lost uncle is super rich, I would be doubtful. Like if it's long lost uncle who they say is very rich, but I haven't seen him ever in my life. I don't even know if he is going to be sending me a single penny. Remembering my uncle wouldn't help me in this case. So I need to have a reason or a personal relationship with that uncle. That remembrance of that uncle will help me. Otherwise, remembrance wouldn't help. Remembering God should mean something. So this is verse 28. Quran is building up its case up until verse 28. Who is God? After establishing this for 27 verses, when Quran says, really, other than God, what else is going to fill your heart? Then it makes sense. But if I start reading from verse number 28, it sounds like a very, very bold claim, might sound super pious, but it's not going to convince anybody. I can even memorize it and keep repeating it, but eventually I will realize that, what am I talking about really? So we shouldn't look for practicality of this verse telling me something tangible. And when I say tangible, take it the way that when I say, do you love your mom? For an average person, I don't know if you're in bad terms with your mom, but assuming that you're not. When I say, do you love your mom? It's a tangible feeling. When I say, do you love God? Or do you know God? I am talking about that type of a tangible feeling. If it is not there, then that means we don't know what God is, who God is, or whatever it is. It's just a word for me. It should at least be as loaded as your mom and your relationship with your mom. If not, then be true to yourself, be honest to yourself and say that, well, I don't know who God is really. How can someone who I do not know fill my heart? Rightfully, my heart is void then. This explains everything. Make sense? Sarmat, what do you think? So let's go with, since it's 28, I cannot go to every single word until 28. But I picked up a few verses that makes the intro. And if you're interested in, you can go into this chapter, which is chapter 13. And the name of this chapter is Ar-Ra'd, thunder, interestingly. Quran has many verses which are named after animals or what you would normally consider as nature events, as thunder here. Alif Lam Mim Ra, tilka ayatul kitab. So these are the verses of the book. وَالَّذِي أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ الْحَقُّ وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. That which is revealed unto you from your Lord is the truth, but most of mankind does not believe. Which is very interesting, but we will not get into the details of that. Why would Quran start the sentence like this? This is the truth, yet most of the people wouldn't believe in that. I should check myself. When such a sentence comes, I should check, not talk about the unbeliever guy over there. I should check myself. If the speaker tells this to me, it says, I am telling you the truth, but you are likely not to take this properly. You're going to take it very lightly. You're not going to understand its importance. This is a warning sentence saying that pay attention here. Don't think about the other guy who doesn't believe. Look for yourself. How much do you believe? How much are you convinced? Belief means conviction. It's not blind faith. When Quran talks about belief, it means how much are you convinced? Fahid, are you convinced that your mom loves you?
I think so.
That's a conviction. That's a strong conviction. If I say, Fahid, how much are you convinced that I would be worried about you? You can say, well, you look like a good guy, but I don't know. Maybe you have alter motives for asking that question to me. Because how long have you been knowing each other, right? Yeah, 2 years, but you just took one course or two courses here and there. So it's a very limited interaction. So you can at best say that I hope or I guess you're a good guy and whatnot. Not as strong as your mom, you're sure your mom loves you. When Quran talks about Iman, take Iman as something like that. You should be surely convinced about it. Second verse, Allahu alladhi rafa'a as-samawati bighayri 'amadin tarawnaha. Like the second verse starts talking about who God is. Very interesting. I know God, of course, He's the creator of everything. Quran doesn't say that. He says, let me explain you who creator is. And explains creator by what? Allah is the one who raises up the heavens without visible supports, then mounted the throne, ثم استوى على العرش وسخر الشمس والقمر, and compelled the sun and the moon to be of service. كل يجري لأجل مسمى. Each runs onto an appointed term. They are running on an appointed course like a orbit. يدبر الأمر يفصل الآيات لعلكم بلقاء ربكم توقنون. He orders the course. He details the revelations that you be certain of the meeting with your Lord. Creator is describing me to him with what I am experiencing around me. He says, I am the one who raises the sun. I am the one who sets the moon. Like, why are you so sure about your mom? Because your mom has been with you for so long. She had been the person who cleaned up your diapers. She has been the person who fed you for so long. She has been the person who woke up in the middle of night. She is the person with whom you had so much common experience, all of which were demonstrating her mercy towards you. So when I say, does your mom love you? You say, of course she does, by experience. Who is God? The Creator says, who is raising the sun? Who is making the rain come down? You are more so together with your Creator than with your mom, if you are aware. But if you're unaware, then that explains the void. Because you will miss your mom. Like we heard two people said, I am missing my home country, right? And let's say you're missing your mom. This is your void. If your mom was here, that void will be filled. If you were in your home country, that void will be healed. At least as an example, that void will be filled. I am feeling this void because something that I am expected to be together with is not there. And this is how the surah, the chapter is making the intro. Allahu alladhi, Allah is the one who. Verse number 2, and description starts. Verse number 3, 4. وَهُوَ الَّذِي مَدَّ الْأَرْضَ وَجَعَلَ فِيهَا رَوَاسِيَ وَأَنْهَارًا. And He it is who spread out the earth and placed therein firm hills and flowing streams. وَمِنْ كُلِّ الثَّمَرَاتِ جَعَلَ فِيهَا زَوْجَيْنِ اثْنَيْنِ. And of all fruits, He placed therein two pairs, two spouses. يُغْشِي اللَّيْلَ النَّهَارِ. He covered the night with the day. إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. So here is verily signs for those who think. Have you ever thought about fruits? Have you ever thought about day and night? Or do you simply say, well, it's natural. Like after day, night comes, it's natural. The verse is saying that He is the one who brings night after the day. Like it's natural for my son that whenever he says, oh, daddy, in the middle of night for me to go and give him water, is it really natural? Or is it me saying that, oh, he is in need of me? This little boy is in need of me in the middle of night. So let me go and grab water and give it to him. Since it keeps repeating every night, he takes it for granted. But if he were to think about it, it's not a natural thing. Somebody is getting out of their way to bring that water to this boy in the middle of night. Day is followed by night. We take it natural. What is natural? What do they mean by natural? It's a thing that we keep happening repetitively. It did not have to happen this way. You put a seed to the soil, and then a fruit comes out of it. We call it natural. Does it have to happen like that? Afif, what do you think? Sounds like, no? If you don't water, nothing comes out. If you water, it comes out. So it looks like if you water, it has to come out, is it not? This is how our science teacher teaches us. Water is the thing that extracts fruits out of the seed, as it, or at least partially. Like water, air, sun, they all come together and serve you the fruit that you eat. Is it? Like, would you like to buy that idea? Are you convinced with that idea? This is why these verses are saying that, look, all the things happening around you, who is the doer? Who is making that? Could all those causes that you see, rain, water, earth, sunlight, are they capable of making the fruit? What do you think, Tim? Can they? Sunlight, soil.
Oh, they're all like ways that they come together to make it.
They come together to make it. But are they making it, or who is making it? What do you think? Guys, I bring this up again and again in the discussions. It might even be boring, but there's a reason I again and again bring this up. Unless we give a convincing answer to ourselves about this, we will never be thankful to the Creator. We will be thankful for, oh yeah, like for Mediterranean region, they are famous with olives, right? Oh, our soil, our climate is good for making olives, we will say. We are thankful to what? The climate, to the earth, to the soil, to the sun. Yet I will claim that, oh, I say, Alhamdulillah, all praise be to God. I am lying to myself, let's be honest. And this is just the beginning. Eventually, if somebody says, oh, Yusuf, what a nice presentation it was, I will say, yes. I mean, apparently trying to be humble, but I'm going to be enjoying your praise of me, which is a lie. Yes, Rida, you were making a comment.
Talked about this.
Yeah.
Since like really since the beginning of the
Since the
fear
beginning,
classes.
yeah, since the beginning, I keep repeating that.
It's we like I think the example we said is like water, and we say like, oh, the water quenched my thirst. But the water didn't quench your thirst. Or like the seed of all things like coming together. Like there are some seeds that never become a flower, even though they have all those elements, and there's no logical reason why those elements didn't.
Very beautiful. Jazakallah khair for bringing us the example about water, because here is an example about water. Verse number 14. Let's get to there. First, quickly, let me read 12 and 13, then we'll get to 14. And see how beautiful Quran is talking to us about us. Verse 12. وَالَّذِي يُرِيكُمُ الْبَرْقَ خَوْفًا وَطَمَعًا وَيُنشِرُ السَّحَابَ الثِّقَالَ. It is still describing the Creator. Verse 12. Since the beginning, he keeps describing. Verse 12, he it is who shows you the lightning, a fear and a hope, and raises or builds the heavy clouds. وَيُسَبِّهُ الرَّعْدُ بِحَمْدِهِ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ مِنْ خِيفَتِهِ وَيُرْسِلُ الصَّوَاعِقَ فَيُصِيبُ بِهَا مَن يَشَاءُ وَهُمْ يُجَادِلُونَ فِي اللَّهِ وَهُوَ شَدِيدُ الْمِحَالِ. The thunder hymns his praise, and so do the angels for awe of him, He launches the thunderbolts and striking with them who he will, why they dispute concerning Allah, and he is mighty in wrath. We can discuss about these in length, but let me go with verse 14. Lahu da'watul haqq, for him alone is the dua of truth. To him alone, from him alone you can ask something. This is what it means. But the example Quran gives is very interesting. وَالَّذِينَ يَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِهِ لَا يَسْتَجِبُونَ لَهُم بِشَيْءٍ إِلَّا كَبَاسِطِ كَفَّيْهِ إِلَى الْمَاءِ. Any others that they call upon besides him hear them no more than if they were to stretch for their hands for water to reach their mouths, but it reaches them not. Very interesting metaphor Quran is using here. Very interesting. وَمَا دُعَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. For the prayer of those without faith is nothing but wandering. What's the example here? It is saying that, like, imagine your hands are tied, imagine, okay? And the water is just going through here. And you say, water. Like you're very thirsty. Water does not come to you. Would it come to you? If you ask water to come to you, would the water come to you? No. Water will keep flowing on its course. It will not come to your help. The same water comes to your help in the springtime as rain. And I say water is nurturing me. Wasn't it the same water? If the water was capable of knowing you, saying that, oh, Safa is thirsty, I should go and help Safa. Although I am situated right now in the Atlantic Ocean, let me evaporate, travel in the air up until Philadelphia and land in Philadelphia area so that Safa can drink me from tap water. This is what is happening functionally. Practically, this is how it works. But the same water, Safa also knows that if I were to call water, it wouldn't come to my help. Yeah.
You also use the example of Ramadan, where like even though it's right in front of us, we reach for it, but it doesn't make it to our mouths because
Yeah.
we're not supposed to.
Yeah. Exactly. So what does this verse tell me? It says the very basic thing you are much in need of, which is water, doesn't know you, doesn't care about you, doesn't come to your help. What does that mean? Somebody must be sending this water to my help. If it doesn't come by itself, how beautiful of a chance it is that every spring water comes to my help. Oh, this year still it's raining. What a chance. What do you think, folks, about this verse? Who sends you the water? Answer that question honestly. What I mean by honestly is, do not say that, oh, since this question is being asked in an MSA setup, the correct answer is God. And if this question was to be asked in my science class, I would say, oh, it is the water cycle. If this question was to be asked in my philosophy class, I would say, well, it's chance. This is how it's happening since the beginning of time. Do not have three separate answers. Have one answer. What answer convinces you? Like, what I mean by that is, if I say, why does your mom loves you? Do not say that, oh, from an evolutionary point of view, no, forget about this nonsense. The very tangible feeling between you and your mom, I'm asking about the relevant answer, that which makes sense to you. I'm not interested in an evolutionary perspective answer. I'm not interested in from social, political science or whatever point of view. As a human being, which answer satisfies you for why your mom loves you or why you love your mom? Likewise, how come this rain is coming to your mouth? How come this happens? If you can have a heartwarming and satisfying answer to this question, then the void is going to start filled. This is what makes you feel satisfied. Okay, Now, as we have 5 more minutes, let's conclude with the actual verse that I was talking about, because verse number 28 is Quran's answer to the question of void, but it is building up this answer. Verse 26, Allahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha'u wa yaqdir wa farihu bil hayati dunya wa mal hayatu dunya fil akhirati illa mata'. So Allah grants the provision to whomsoever He wills abundantly and grants others in strict measure. To some God gives more, to some God gives less. And this is something that we are concerned about. Why He is richer, or He is smarter, or He is stronger, beautiful than me. These are the questions we have, right? They exalt in the life of the world. They are super happy in this life of the world. Although compared with the hereafter, the life of the world is no more than temporary enjoyment. The Creator says, this is not the point. The more or less of this life is not the point. What you get out of it is the point. Like if I give Qadir $5 and Sarmad $105, one is going to feel sad, one is going to feel happy, relatively speaking. But this word is saying that the point is not 5 versus 105. The point is, why did you receive this 5 or 105 in the first place? Like imagine if these 5 and 105 was not real dollars, but they are monopoly money, like in the game Monopoly. Well, you don't care about the number written on it. It's just a way to teach you how to play, how the economy works. So you get the point. This is why if I give 5 to Qadir and 105 to Sarmad as we are playing Monopoly, they wouldn't get offended. They would say that, well, this is just a game, the purpose of which is to teach us something else. This is what the verse is saying. In this life, the Creator sometimes gives more to some other, less to some other. And the point is that it's an instructional setup. The point is not how much money you earn. The point is what you take out of that, what you learn out of that. But if you get stuck with the amount of money and try to fill up your void by putting more money in there, you will not gain anything. What it tells about the provider, the sustainer, is what fills up this heart. If you get lost with the thing itself, rather than what it tells you, you are bound to feel void. وَيَقُولُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْلَا أُنْزِلَ عَلَيْهِ آيَاتٌ مِّن رَبِّهِ. Very interesting. Despite all these, those who have rejected say, why has no sign been sent down upon from his Lord? قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُضِلُّ مَن يَشَاءُ وَيَهْدِي إِلَيْهِ مَنْ أَنَابَ. Tell them, Allah lets go astray those whom He wills and guides to Himself those who turn to Him. As if the verse is saying that, what sort of a sign are you expecting? Everything is a sign, yet you are asking that question. That means you are blind. Like someone who is asking that question must be either blind or crazy. Despite all these signs, you are not seeing the signs. This is what the verse is alluding to. Actually, this verse 27, just 2-3 verses back, it was talking about blindness. Very interesting, very beautiful surah. Like after today's discussion, carefully go through this surah verse by verse and ask the question, what does this sentence tell me? And look for your own life. Do not look for general understanding of some people out there. Do not read it to tell it to some other person. Read it as it's speaking to you. You will see how beautifully, now we come to verse 28. It is telling us how to fill that void. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَتَطْمَئِنُّ قُلُوبُهُم بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ أَلَّا بِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ تَطْمَئِنُّ الْقُلُوبُ. Those who believe and whose hearts find satisfaction in the remembrance of Allah, for without doubt, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find satisfaction. If you know such a God, then remembering that God will provide the satisfaction you seek for. But if you don't know God, it's just a 3-letter word. It is just the mythology of Arabs or your culture. It's pretty much like whatever Zeus was to Greeks. We call it Allah and whatnot. If this is like that, remembrance of that Allah is not going to help you, because remembrance of Zeus didn't help Greeks. But if you start seeing the Creator as the one who is bringing the rain down, who is making you breathe the air, who is making you feel happy or upset right now, that close of a creator, then remembrance of such a one will give you the satisfaction you seek for. Bottom line, if you are feeling that void and you're trying to fill it up, this is an existential problem. And this cannot be solved by simply changing, oh, let me change my hairstyle, let me change my job, oh, I am single, that's why it's happening, let me get married, it's going to be over. Oh, never. None of these will solve this void. You're just gaining some time, saying that, well, let me try this, maybe it's going to solve. And eventually you will start hating if you are paying attention to it. Or the alternative is just put more and more in there, just so that whenever you're faced with the reality of this didn't work, you always have a backup plan, and you're just pushing and postponing to face the reality. If you don't want to do that, face your reality and get to know why you are here, who are you, why do you have this empty void in you, and how remembrance of your maker is going to fill it up. Get to know your maker. Don't take things for granted. And Quran is speaking word by word to you individually. Do not read Quran for somebody else. Read Quran for yourself. And by reading, I mean study Quran, understand Quran. You can do this to a certain extent by yourself. Do it by yourself too, but do it with, like, why Prophet was there? Why Quran was not revealed to a mountaintop only? It could have been that people wake up one day and they find the book in front of their house and they go with it, right? Prophet has been the person who was living with Quran. Like, you see that this person is living with it and he can cope with this void in his life. I would like to do that. So go and learn from Prophet how to cope with this void. It's very beautiful that Quran is not a simple theory. Like socialism was a theory and it didn't work in practice. It's awesome on paper, but it didn't work in practice because when you put it into action, it's colliding with human reality. It's not practicable. But Prophet practiced life, practiced Quran in his life. His community practiced it. So we have a beautiful example of it works. This is why study Quran for yourself and study it with the community of people who can make sense of it, who can live by it, and you will see that that person has a beautiful personality. This is coming from that prophetic lineage of life. I would like to whatever extent, I would like to tap into that source.
To also, if sometimes another way is also to implement and read the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yeah.
Because when you just get a particular example, you're reading the Quran, right? You read the Quran, it was revealed during 1400 years ago, and you're trying to implement it to the lifestyle and society now,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes it's also really helpful to read the seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to see how he implemented the Quran in his life. And then that way you can adapt it with communities studying both the Sirah and the Quran to implement it in society today.
Yeah.
And that is the best way to study both together, not one or the other.
Yeah, very true. And we should be attempting to do that. This is why you are given a life of 60, 70, whatever years. It is going to take an entire lifetime. It's not like, oh, I'm going to take a class about Quran, it's 6 months, 5 months, 1 year, 2 years, and I'm an expert of it. You don't study Quran to show off to others. Like if I learn Arabic, I can pronounce it nice. Allahu yabsutur rizqa liman yasha. That's not the point. The point is, how much do I benefit from it for myself?
Yeah, so I want to
Go ahead.
so another, I recently, this was just something that opened up my mind a lot. I learned that you're not just, during the month of Ramadan, everyone is trying to complete a cover, right? Like to complete the Quran cover to cover. But also the Sahaba, may Allah bless them, essentially, they would read the Quran in 3 different ways. They would do it as khatam, not only during the month of Ramadan, there are khatams throughout the year, and they would do monthly khatams. They would also do the Quran slowly, line by line, word by word, throughout their entire life. So they approach the Quran in 3 different khatams that they continued simultaneously. So you're not just reading it in one sitting, but you're reading it at different points in different sittings, in different ways, with different goals. And that is another way to implement it too.
Yes, yes. We should have this as a goal in our life, because we tend to have it with, I will do it and I will finish it, as if just another task. No, you will end it when you die. So this is the purpose of your life. If I take this, no rush then. Whatever it takes. Go at your own pace. But the thing is, decide to walk this walk. Otherwise, I'll just here and there show up and then, or even, unfortunately, this is more so common in the United States, go overseas, get an education in University of Medina for 2 years, 4 years, come back to US, become a sheikh at age 20 something. Do it for yourself. Don't do it for others. To the extent that it works for you, it will work for others as well, but it's not your priority. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا